One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse with the Poetic Diva, is podcast programming that reminds us of the connection between poetry and mental and emotional wellness. This program has been brought to you by Rhyme and Chat Interactive Poetry Organization and the financial and technical support of the Lyndhurst Foundation, Arts Build, Gold Nook Productions, and our Chattanooga local NPR station, WUTC 88.1. So whether you are a poetry enthusiast or simply someone seeking inspiration and understanding, join us as we unravel the threads of creativity and introspection, one rhyme at a time. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse podcast, where poetry meets mental wellness right here in the heart of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm your host, the Poetic Diva, and I am thrilled to embark on this poetic healing journey with you. As in every episode, we are being visited by a poet, and we will discuss poetry and mental wellness. According to the Alzheimer's Association, over 7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. And by the year 2050, this number is projected to rise to nearly 13 million. About 1 in 9 people age 65 and older has Alzheimer's. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's. What is it? How does it impact the person? How does it impact those who love and care for them? We are joined today by poet Liz Cooper. Elizabeth Liz Cooper is a North Carolina native now living in Chattanooga with her husband, Edward. A devoted member of Second Missionary Baptist Church, she serves as a deaconess, Sunday school teacher, and member of several ministries. When her mother was diagnosed with dementia in 2011, Liz became her primary caregiver and an advocate for the Alzheimer's Association. Her faith sustained her through the journey, inspiring her first book, Letters to Mama Jean, Reflections on Dementia, Caring, and Love, in 2019, written to honor her mother and encourage other caregivers. Since then, Liz has shared her story as an inspirational speaker across Tennessee and North Carolina, addressing churches, conferences, women's organizations, and community events. As an author, poet, and speaker, she remains passionate about raising awareness, offering hope, and fulfilling what she believes is her God-given assignment to serve others. So let's listen in as she shares her poem, Nothing But Love, on one rhyme at a time.
The look in your eyes is no longer the same. Helplessly, I watch you decline and slowly change. Your memories fading and your steps getting slow. So many answers to questions about this I don't know. I say I love you. It warms my heart to see you smile. With your hand in mine, we just sit and talk for a while. For me, all the good times we share will never end. In my mind, we repeat them over and over again. For courage and strength, I kneel to God and pray to grant everything I need, to do my best every day. I can think of nothing better I can give to you than love, because it's placed in my heart from heaven above. There's nothing in the world that's worth more to me than just loving you each day unconditionally. My love for you is real and more precious than gold. It will stand the test of time and never grow old. This is an assignment from God, and He will see me through. With Him, I will do everything I need to do. Mama, I have nothing but love for you, come what may. And it keeps growing stronger with each passing day.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful tribute
Thank you.
to your mother.
Yes, absolutely.
So I do understand that this is a personal journey that you've gone through. So at what point in your journey with your mother was this poem written?
This poem was written when I was putting together the book in 2019.
Okay.
My mom was still with us at that time. She was doing really well because her journey started actually around 2010. However, her progression was very slow. And so even up until the time that we lost her, she still knew who we were most of the time. Occasionally, of course, she might call someone by another name, but actually her progression wasn't fast. And I was the long distance caregiver for many years because mom lived in North Carolina, which is where I'm from. And I was here.
In Chattanooga.
Right. But my husband and I brought her to live with us at the appropriate time. And yes, she was still very, very well able to do some things, dress herself, bathe herself. However, I would have to, supervise and be with her in doing all of that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So what did being able to sit down and write this poem, especially as you're still going through the journey with your mom, what did it do for you?
Actually, the poem as well as the book itself was very therapeutic because I needed to be able to express the feelings, emotions that I couldn't really share with other people. Even those loved ones that were sharing the experience. It was just so personal. And because God had given me that inspiration, that inner way to see beyond the surface of what was going on, it helped to give me peace in the process.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your process in crafting this particular poem.
Well, actually, the poem came after the book was written.
Okay.
After all of my information, for lack of a better word, the letters were done, then that was the icing on the cake. This is what it's all about. The love that we shared, my mom and I, and how God allowed me to visualize that in a way that others may see it as a pain or obstacle. But God let me see this is about love, sacrifice, giving of yourself when it's good and when it's not good, and believing and trusting in Him to get through it.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful because I'm sure that as people are going through a journey like this with their loved one and they're seeing a steady decline, that it does get frustrating. It does it becomes a really heavy and daunting task. What are some things that helped you maintain such a positive outlook as you were on this journey?
Number one is prayer for me. However, there are those that may not be connected in a spiritual way. When going through as a caregiver, I would only advise them that once you take on the responsibility to be all in.
Yeah.
Because yes, it is a very difficult, the most difficult and rewarding experience that I've ever had in my life.
And the overarching thing that I'm getting from our conversations and from your poetry is to lead with love. To lead with love and to lead with understanding. So you've mentioned a couple of times about a book. So
Yes.
tell us about your book, the title, and your process.
Yes, the book is entitled Letters to Mama Jean. That it was my mom's name. That is her name. And I had a lot of difficulty trying to come up with the title and even saying the word letter. But in this new age technology, everything is computerized. I still like old fashioned letters.
Yeah.
I like greeting cards. And I just felt that it's a more personal way, because if someone gets a letter in the mail, they're anxious to open and read it.
Oh, yes.
So that helped me to decide on the title. It's Letters to Mama Jean, Reflections on Dementia, Caring, and Love. So the book is not just about the disease itself. It's more about the caring and the love going through with your loved one. It has to be that.
Right.
It has to be love. It has to be caring. You can't be a caregiver without caring.
Will you share an excerpt from your book with us?
Sure, I have difficulty deciding where. However, I am going to share just a little bit of one of the letters. And it's Dear Mama. All letters start with Dear Mama, because I'm writing these letters to my mom. And I'm telling her what she's doing. Although I know literally I'm not telling her.
Right.
I'm talking to God.
Because these letters were compiled for the book, but never actually delivered to your mother.
No, I never read the book to her.
Okay.
She was there during the time
Right.
of the writing, but I never read it to her.
This was written for you.
These were written for me from the Lord.
Yes.
And so this particular one is about self. And it says, Dear Mom, there's a lot of talk these days about identity theft, in the sense that it robs a person's identity. I secretly consider it to be another word for dementia. Of course, the identity theft assumes the identity of someone else to rob them of possessions. Dementia, on the other hand, is a strong, merciless robber of the individual. We know it slowly takes away the brain's ability to function properly and keeps on taking until there's nothing left. And there's a lot more in there, but I'll skip to the end. All of my letters end with a short prayer. But today, right now, you still say, one day these emotions may disappear. One day you may not know who I am. Speaking to Mom. But today, right now, you still do. I will go slowly with you, one day at a time. This disease has not yet robbed you of who you are. Regardless of what you may not be able to remember, not be able to do, or unable to express. Yes, I still hold your hand, hug you and kiss your cheek, and whatever it takes, letting you know I still have you. The power of touch and knowing how hard you're trying to be strong is priceless. Lord knows that's good enough for me. Father in heaven, my prayer today is for gratitude. Please grant that I may look beyond the way Mama used to be and appreciate her each day as she is now.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful, and something that we need to be reminded of and keep in mind as we're working with, as we're in the presence of someone that is on an Alzheimer's dementia journey.
Yes.
Is to just have a spirit of gratitude.
Be
for this
thankful
moment.
for what they can do and how they, even though they're not physically hurting, they're not in pain, they don't realize what is happening, that it hurts you because you cannot do anything. Each day is new.
Yeah.
Each day is different. However, it's no different than us who don't have it. Each day is new for us as well.
That's true.
Each day we're different by God's grace. So we need to, as I say, we're all in or not.
And that comparison that you made to identity theft, that was very poignant. Like that made it really, really click in my mind when you think about identity theft and then this person who looks to be the same person who raised you, who you've known all these years, but the spark and the parts of their personality that were so very common and expected, when they start disappearing, it is as if their identity is being stolen.
There's so many people just focus on, oh, well, they just lost their memory. Dementia, Alzheimer's doesn't only take away a person's memory, which is huge, because if you don't know how to use a fork or a spoon to eat your food, if you don't know how to bathe yourself, and if you don't know where you are, what your name is, what your birth date is, when you can't walk well by yourself, these are, the brain takes care of everything else with the body. So just losing memory is one thing. If I ask you, Marsha, what's your birthday? That's one thing. But for you to no longer be able to cook or clean, which are things my mom loved to do, it takes away your life.
Yeah.
And to be the caregiver, you have to take over that life in addition to still managing your own life.
So as a caregiver, and you mentioned, taking on this person's life, filling the void for them, the things that they are no longer capable of doing on their own, and you as a caregiver coming in to fill that void for them, along with having your own life. What helped you through and kept you grounded during those times to where you were able to care for yourself as well?
Well, one of the main things, especially being long distance, was having other family that immediately, I'm a very OCD type person. So immediately when I was told by the doctors what was happening with my mom, I sat down and made up a to-do list of what has to be done. Who's going to take care of paying the bills? Who's going to take care of managing the household, taking out the trash, making sure she gets her medicine, all of these things. I have a sample to-do list that I usually give to folks when I do presentations. And this was given to my family members that were going to be primary there in Carolina for me. I took on the more things like legal, financial, all of those things. And I would send her a letter showing what bills I had paid each month. And also I would tell her, Mom, you can get $25 out of the bank. Because she was used to going to the bank.
Right.
And drawing out her check
And
and
you didn't
paying
want to
her
take that
bills.
away from her. You didn't want to take that away from her.
But I didn't want her to have a lot of money. She didn't need the money anymore. And if people came by the house, oh, let me borrow this or that, of course, she wouldn't remember. They wouldn't pay her back. So I had a limit of of that. But she loved it. It was so funny because she'd say, how much did you say I could get out the bank? And I just thought, oh my God, this is too unreal. However, and I kept a spreadsheet and I still have it, so that I could show my brothers this is what was done. So there would never be any question. I put together a list of all of her medicines, when she was supposed to take them and what they were for, so that my uncle, who was her brother, would, know it would be helpful to him, not just go and get the medicine or whatever, but to put the medicines in the trays properly. I also did a sheet of contact information to put on the refrigerator, because so many of us are not living there physically in town. And if somebody should come in the home and find her by herself needing help, our phone numbers are right there where they can see who to call, in addition to emergency. Also, her doctor's names and phone numbers, all the contact type people, those kinds of things were essential in being organized.
Yes.
And being committed to the task.
Yes.
As long as my brother and my uncle did their part, I knew I was going to do my part with God's help. So when she came here, there's a place here called Pace that was, oh God, it was just a godsend for us, because I stopped working about 6 months after Mom came. And I needed to still go to the grocery store and do some things for my husband and I. And I would, take her with me everywhere whenever we could. We went out to dinner. We went to church. We didn't just keep her at home, but it was a blessing in disguise, because I have no relatives here. And it was important to be able to have some time to do some things. And I was able to have her go there during the week and be with other people, not just people with the dementia.
So Pace is like an adult daycare type of setup?
Yes.
Nice. So
but not just for people with dementia. People have other things, but they have doctors there. They have entertainment for them to get engaged, and it's good for a person with dementia.
And that gave you a break and an opportunity to take care of some things that needed to be taken care of, and to just kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also occasionally I was able to find caregivers. If my husband and I wanted to go on a date to the movies, out to dinner, just us, the both of us, I was able to arrange that in what they call respite, sometimes where it's an overnight at a facility. And one of those facilities here in the city, I helped put together a nursery, what they call nursery, because dementia patients, oftentimes they like a doll. It reminds them of when they were raising their children. And so that nursery at this location, I found a crib and some baby clothes and some other things. They set up a nursery area in a dementia unit. So once a person has this disease, they are limited in some things. So I wanted her to feel useful and all of that. Every day when she would come home from the center, she would ask, as soon as we got in the house, what can I do? What can I do? And I have found puzzles, like really the pieces, the large, like 6 pieces to it, not a real 500-piece puzzle. But I would, let her try to work on those. I found out about the dementia doll, and I said, "Oh, have hers." But
so what is the dementia doll?
it's a lifelike doll. You can order them online, and it's like a companion, when they're just sitting and watching TV or whatever. When I mention about the nursery, it's not an organization. It's a nursing home that has a dementia unit.
Okay.
And PACE allowed us to have her go there occasionally on a weekend when we might want to just get away, my husband and I, for a couple of days. So that's, it's not an organization. It's an actual nursing home here in the city.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I've heard you mention the importance of allowing the person who you're giving care to still maintain as much of their independence, their individuality as possible, even if it's on a slightly smaller scale, and not to treat them like a child, not to take everything away. And
Exactly. Absolutely not.
yeah.
I mean, once you become the caregiver, yes, I'm the daughter, but daughter is second place now to what's best for mom. So you cannot listen to what mom says necessarily. You have to know what the best interests are for her. And a part of that, of course, is I've never been to medical school or any of that, but I do know that I would not want to be able to do some things for myself as long as I could. So in getting dressed in the morning to get ready to go to PACE, I would lay out each piece of her clothing, from underwear to socks to, pants, tops, all of that on the bed. And I would, after we had her bath, I would stand in the bathroom with her as she showered and make sure she was going to be okay until we were ready to come out, get dried off, get lotioned up, all of that. And then I would allow her to put on each piece herself. So whatever she could do, I would let her do. And I wanted her to do. And she wanted to do. My mom loved getting dressed up. We would go to church on Sundays. I would match our outfits. Like she wore black, I wore black, whatever color. So, we went out to dinner. We went to the movies. We went on trips home back to North Carolina. We did things. She was not just treated like someone that was handicapped.
Right, right. That's valuable.
Yeah.
That's truly valuable. And I'm sure that assisted you on your journey as well, to know that you were giving her the very best care that you knew to give, that you were allowing her still to make some choices and some moves on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes me back to treating people the way that you would want to be treated.
Absolutely.
So if you were in that position, you wouldn't want someone taking away every choice, everything, things that you're still capable of doing, taking them all away, not trusting you to do anything on your own.
Right.
Because there are still some things that you are able to do on your own, and still some things that you would still have some pride in, so still allow me those things.
Yes.
Even though this dreadful disease is taking so much, there's still something there that's left.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't want to trivialize anyone's journey or to make it seem that everything was roses, because it was not. However, in those difficult moments and days, which I talk to church members that are now caregivers for their parent or what have you, and they talk about how difficult it is. And I try to encourage them by saying, look, when you have those sundown moments, those episodes, as I called them, go and take yourself a break. If it's going outside for a few moments or somewhere where you can just, de-stress. Because again, they are not going to remember. Sure, they shouted at you. Sure, they may have even cursed you.
Right.
But they're not going to remember it. And I can promise you 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, it's all gone. It's and my mom would get upset sometimes. I want to go home, but home doesn't necessarily mean her house. It might mean where she grew up as a child, and that house doesn't exist anymore. But we might get in a car and go to McDonald's and get some ice cream. She loved ice cream, and then she would be fine. So that anger, you pray, step away, and just, realize it's not them talking, it's the disease.
Right. Can't take that stuff personally.
Exactly.
Cannot take it personally.
It's not a punishment. God is not punishing you.
Right. Don't bicker with
you're
them.
There you
go. Don't bicker with them. Don't argue with them.
No. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Whatever's real to them is real to them. And it's okay. It's okay. As long as it's not a health or safety issue. That's when you have to, take away all the knives out the drawers, unplug the microwave, unplug, the coffee pot or whatever things that if you're leaving them there during the day, don't leave her medicines out. Just say, oh, mama, take this at 12 o'clock. No.
Right.
Might take the whole bottle.
Right. You just don't know. You just
think.
Right. Right.
My brother and my uncle and I talked more during those years, more than we had probably in all our lives every day, because we were hashing out, brainstorming things and venting.
Communication is also key. So I'm hearing not only conversations, with God, conversations with your mother and keeping that communication open, but communication with the family and other people. Like I think it's really notable when you were mentioning the spreadsheet that you have to where you're keeping track of what's happening with the finances and the money and things of that nature. The contact list on the refrigerator or wherever you kept it, for other people that came into the house, being able to think about, kind of like thinking ahead to and addressing an issue before it even becomes an issue.
Absolutely. And those are God-given, ideas. I'm not a trained caregiver. This was my first experience. Thank God. I pray I don't have to ever be one again. However, I learned a lot. I think that's one of the most important things. It wasn't just going through the process with her. It was learning. God was showing me, some things, and it drew me closer. I cannot underestimate God in this process. And I'm so glad you mentioned communications, because it's not necessary to share all the bad and ugly things with other people.
I get that.
It's just not.
I get that.
Why would you? And again, you're talking about, in my case, your mom, and you're going to go and tell people, oh, she did this or that. I don't care if it's an incontinence issue, whatever it is that turns you off and it boils your blood. Do not do that. It's disrespectful and it's hurtful, because you would not want someone talking about stuff that you have no control over anymore. So I want to, to say that, as well as, communication, my brothers and I have 2 brothers now. I had 3, but I have 2 now, and my uncle. We had an absolutely great relationship. We still do. And when it came to getting the powers of attorney, the other legal documents, they trusted me. So not only did God apparently assign this for me, they trusted me, and they would not have been able to do it. I know that. My husband kept telling me that, and I know that's true, and that's okay. Every family, you may have 10 siblings, and only one is going to be the one. But at any rate,
everybody has their strengths.
Yes, and so I didn't ever leave them out. But again, there were things that I didn't share even with them when it came to emotions. I never felt that I was stressed. I probably was, but I never felt it. I was just so wanting to do everything and to cherish those moments, those days in pictures.
Yes.
And in ways that only, it would mean something to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cherishing every moment. Cherishing every moment. Tell us about the importance of having the pictures.
Well, it's like having a fancy party or any type celebration event, a wedding, anything that we celebrate. The only way we capture that memory is through pictures. After, in your mind, yes, but in pictures. Pictures are timeless. I have one scrapbook, as I told you, I like scrapbooking. I call it memory book in this case. And it is my mom's pictures only. It's full of all different kinds of pictures from early days before her disease as well as during that time. And different, wasn't always dressed up and fixed up and all of that. But, she was always presentable, of course.
Right.
But I just was constantly taking pictures because, again, we have to be realistic. Dementia is not curable.
Right.
It's progressive and it lasts sometimes for years, sometimes not. So if you're one that really, really, want to have some good memories, I would suggest taking pictures and you can go back and reflect, maybe help you to feel better during those grief-stricken times. Every time I still, wish my mom were here despite her disease.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
You mentioned not giving voice and power to the negative. And I was brought up with, that stays in your house. You don't go out and tell on the outside what's happening in your house. And that also preserves the dignity and the legacy of your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
So when people think back on them, or when you think back on them, you're thinking about the person who they were in their wholeness, in their true form.
Right.
And that's what needs to live on.
Right.
Not the negative, not us giving voice and power.
Absolutely.
To the downside. So that's beautiful that you cherish and honored your mother in such a way. Because I'm sure that it gets frustrating. So how are some ways that you dealt with frustration? Like I know that they may have a tendency to you may have to repeat yourself. They may be repeating things. as if it's new to you. It is not new to you. It's like, Mama, you just told me that. Mama, you've already said that. How did you deal with situations like that?
Well, in the beginning, and even now, when I find myself, repeating something, or I go from one room of the house to another and can't remember what I went in there for, I have to go back to the room I came from.
That's happened to us all.
It's a little scary, I have to admit. And when my mom started repeating things, that was in the beginning stages. And oh my goodness, when she came to live with us here in Chattanooga, we brought her here, my husband and I, to live with us. And I have a screened-in back porch. Would love to go out and just listen to the birds. We call it singing. Well, Mom and I would be sitting there, and I would, try to carry on a conversation. And of course, I knew she didn't know what was really going on the news and all that stuff. But a lot of times you say the same thing over and over and over. And all of a sudden, the Lord spoke to my heart before I could get upset or frustrated about it, and said, listen to the birds. It sounds the same every day, all the time. They're communicating. She's trying to communicate. So from that time on, and I put this story in the book, from that time on, I promised myself I would never take hearing the birds for granted, because I knew that that day was going to come, which is now, that I couldn't hear her voice. And it didn't matter if it was the same thing.
Right. Over and over and over. Yeah. So even listening to the birds now,
Yeah.
it carries a different meaning. There's a different weight behind it, because
Right.
it takes you back to your times on the back porch with your
Nothing
mom.
is forever.
Yeah.
That's why we have to cherish. We have to cherish those moments. Don't look at it. Oh, I wish he would stop. And it's so funny. I didn't tell you this, but one time before she came here, we were visiting her at home in Carolina, and I was preparing dinner, was in the kitchen. And like I say, she loved to cook, but I wasn't asking her to help. So she kept walking back and forth through the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And each time she would ask me what I was making. And I just kept answering until all of a sudden, and these were earlier on, before I learned some things. And one time, I finally just didn't say anything. And it was so funny because my husband and my brothers were sitting in the family room, which is adjacent to the kitchen. And my mom stood right there, and she said, I just hate it when I'm talking to a person and they don't answer. I thought, oh my God, I've answered about 50 times.
So you just got to keep answering.
Funny.
You have to keep answering.
Yes. And I thought to myself, oh, well, yeah, that was real smart.
Yeah. You got to keep answering.
Oh my God. You just don't know what's going to. So again, there are times to laugh.
True.
It's not all, gloom and doom.
Right. Right.
You learn to just go with the flow. None of us are perfect, dementia or not. So each day when you get up out of the bed, remembering that, again, caregiver. Yes, this is mom, but I'm now her caregiver. And just as you would a baby, you wouldn't leave the baby in the bed soiled to try to clean itself. You wouldn't not feed the baby because you don't feel like cooking something or whatever,
And get mad at the
and get
baby for
mad,
soiling itself and be
get
mad.
mad with the baby.
Right. That is so true. That is so true.
I mean, caregiver.
Yeah.
God is our caregiver in our imperfection. We cannot attack, punish, and demean someone for something. They have no control. You have to be committed to do it. And I say it's an assignment from God because God does not assign things to just anyone who's not equipped. You don't have to be trained professionally. God trains you. He provides resources. As I said, we may need a break. You may need to find someone to come for 2 hours, 3 days a week. You may need to go to the mall. You may need to go walking around the neighborhood. You may need to do something to kind of take you away. Although mentally you're never away, but again, that's your baby. Don't get mad because if she could change, she would.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself doing all of that mean stuff, bad stuff, you're not the right person to do it because God is not going to give you that type of
Assignment
thought process.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
You're just not.
Yeah. Yeah. And be willing to ask for assistance, ask for help, and accept it when it comes.
Right. God will direct your path. Like I said, you don't talk to everybody. You don't get on the phone talking to even your best friend may not be the person you need to talk to. I cannot stress enough because I wasn't alone in the journey.
Right.
But I was primary in the journey.
Exactly.
The leader. And I learned so much and I had to learn it over time. It did not all happen immediately. I wanted to deny it in the beginning like any normal person would, but that didn't last long. I didn't have time to do it because it had already started. So I had to help others in my family see how you do this without falling apart, crying, complaining, and being in denial. It's real. And I would want the Lord to know that I'm doing this out of my heart. I'm not doing it to brag or boast or make myself pat on the back. But my mom took care of me, took care of us the best she could. And there is nothing, no amount of time or possessions or anything that's worth not giving her the best of me when she needed it most. That's my feeling about it.
So, how can people get a copy of your book?
Okay, Marsha, there are a couple ways. One, go to Amazon. Type in Letters to Mama Jean. The whole thing, just the way it's spelled, Mama, Momma, and Reflections on Dementia, Caring and Love by Liz Cooper. That's one way. And of course, you would have to pay shipping and tax if you order it online. Or you could also you could have them send it to Barnes and Nobles, I believe. But also, if you're here in the city, feel free to email me, Liz the Writer1, Liz LIZDAWRITER1 at gmail.com. And that was deliberate on my part because there are so many people named Liz. And I had to be unique, and I put in duh. So.
Well, that is wonderful. We thank you so very much for sharing your poetry with us, for sharing your book, and for sharing your journey with us on today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
As we conclude another insightful episode of One Rhyme at a Time, I want to thank our featured guest, Liz Cooper, for sharing her poem, Nothing But Love, for telling us about her book, Letters to Mama Jean, Reflections on Dementia, Caring, and Love, and for giving us a deeper understanding behind the meaning and the muse of her writings and of her personal journey with Alzheimer's. We would like to hear from you. How has Alzheimer's impacted your life and the lives of those around you? Tell us in an original poem that you've written in response to this podcast, and submit your poem to RNCPoetry at gmail.com for the chance to have your poem read on an upcoming episode. Until next time, this is the Poetic Diva. May your days be filled with inspiration, healing, and poetry, one rhyme at a time. For more information about Alzheimer's and dementia, how you can get involved and advocate and donate, visit their website at alz.org. You can also call their 24/7 helpline at 800-272-3900. That's 800-272-3900. Together, we can end Alzheimer's.
Tonight we celebrate life, and we celebrate parenthood. About 2.5 months ago, the Lord called my mother home. My very best friend's godparent. And I was blessed and fortunate in that my mother didn't suffer long. She didn't linger long. But I do realize that that's not the case for everyone. I do have several friends, I'm sure many of us either know or are ones who have become caregivers. So let's continue to love on people because you never know what people are going through. This poem is spoken from the position of a child who has become a caregiver for their love. A mother who has spoken with Alzheimer's creation. She is tired, she is worn, she is weary, and she feels so very alone. I look in the face of that which was my mother, now left an empty shell, not knowing my face, my voice, my touch. Why can you have drifted silently away on angels' wings in your dreams? Why is your body refusing to release the light that your mind left months ago? I look in the face of that which was my mother, now left in empty shell, not knowing my face, my voice, my touch. touch. It's torturous to see the arms that held me tight and warm soft lips that kiss goodnight. Knowing things will never be the same. My best friend in the world no longer knows my name. I look in the face of that which was my mother, now left an empty shell. Not knowing my face, my voice, my touch. I watch as she sleeps, a gentle smile plays across her lips, and I wonder if somewhere deep within the chambers of her mind, if she's remembering how things used to be, remembering her family, remembering me. I look in the face of that which was my mother. Now I left an empty shell, not knowing my face, my voice, my touch. I pray for open eyes to bring on the resurrection of my mother's spirit. And if that can be, I pray they just stay shut. I look in the face of that which was my mother. Now left an empty shell, not knowing my face, my voice, my touch. I love my mother for the spirit that dwelt within, and with that spirit went the life of my mother. No flowers, no cards, no kind words to console. See, no one says a prayer for me, because they think she's still alive. But there's been a death here, and no one knows but me.
One Rhyme at a Time, unpacking the meaning and the muse with the Poetic Diva, is podcast programming that reminds us of the connection between artistic expression and mental wellness. This program has been brought to you by Rhyme and Chat Interactive Poetry Organization and the financial and technical support of the Lyndhurst Foundation, Arts Build, Goldnook Productions, and our Chattanooga local NPR station, WUTC 88.1. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, share, and leave comments for us on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us as we continue to bring you meaningful content, one rhyme at a time.